What's up, everybody, and welcome to episode 2 of the Boot FC podcast. Now, if you checked us out on episode 1, you know this is brand new, and we're going to be coming to you as often as we possibly can to bring you all the information on the latest releases. But not only that, today we have got a very special guest in the house. We've got JayC. He's a writer for the Boot Hype blog, and he's based over in Singapore, and he's come here to give us some expert knowledge on the Asian boot market, drop some Mizuno knowledge bombs on us, and talk about the latest releases as well. So we'll just go around and do a little introduction. Of course, I'm James. You'll find me on the Boot Wizard YouTube channel and Instagram. So that's youtube.com/bootwizard if you want to check me out. As always, with my co-host Yaz.
Hey guys, how's it going? Yeah, it's YJ Football, and you can check us out at YJ Football on Instagram and youtube.com/YJ Football.
And of course, last but not least, our honored guest this evening. We are honored to have him as part of this with his Boot Hype t-shirt on. He is representing.
Yeah,
We've
you
got
guys both
JayC.
have-
How are you doing, man?
I'm good. Thank you so much, guys, for having me. Hi everyone. I'm Jason. You guys can call me Jay. I write for Boot Hype, so we are a football equipment, football boot website. We review football boots, certain equipment like grip socks from time to time, as well as try and talk about some of the local social football in Singapore. So we've interviewed some of the female freestylers in Singapore, some of our players, and we're hoping to get more into things, of course. I write on my tag is no such person, but I think you can follow us on Boot Hype Official.
Cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Check out Boot Hype Official, and boothype.com is the website, and it is very essential that it's Boot Hype all in capital letters, because I constantly get told off for branding that incorrectly on my videos. I've done some collaboration videos with Boot Hype, and I always get told off by Jay and Hatter for spelling that wrong.
That's why he's wearing the t-shirt this time, just so you get it right. I feel like I need a YJ Football t-shirt because you guys have all your merchandise and just flexing it.
Yeah,
but
I'm merching.
I'm just representing Man United here, so.
I'll send one over to you with the Dragons.
Oh yeah, man, do it. Yeah, keen for that. That one looks sick.
All right, let's jump into the latest releases and
Cool.
what we've had going on. Last time, Yaz and I spoke about very limited. Yaz, what have we had going on since the last podcast we recorded, which was actually some time ago?
Yeah, I think while we were talking about the lack of releases in the first podcast episode, between then and the time we actually uploaded the podcast, we got an influx of all the different packs that were meant to release during that time. So we got the locality pack, we got the Korea special edition Mercurials. I can see the box. If you're watching the video version of the podcast, you can see behind. Oh, there it is. The boots themselves. They're really awesome. Okay. Yeah.
That's good audio right there.
That's great. That's great.
There's
But yeah,
the Korea Mercurials, which I absolutely adore.
Yeah,
they're
gorgeous.
amazing. The tiger print and the Korea red and blue just looks awesome. And so after that, we've had obviously the major packs for the Euros and international competitions that were meant to be on come out, like the Uniforia. Is it Uniforia or Euphoria? Uniforia pack.
Uniforia, yeah. I
As
do
well.
keep getting that confused with the Euphoria mode pack.
Yeah.
that Nike dropped last year, just the naming. But it's
a
just
bit
because
too
they like
close.
to confuse things.
Yeah. Oh, those look amazing. James is currently showing us the Uniforia Predator 20 Plus, and absolutely looks gorgeous. It's got the white and like a fire. It almost looks like fire at the tip of the boot, right? The front of the boot. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's actually brush strokes. So the whole thing's based around like a blank white canvas, and then the way that artists create art by painting on that canvas. It's kind of a little bit, I don't know, it's supposed to be like us creating art with the boots on a
Right.
blank canvas. That's the theory. And I see like they've definitely gone with that. Whether that's true or not is a different matter, but so that's all good. But yeah, we had that. We had the locality pack before that. Jay,
Yes.
what were you thinking of the locality pack?
I think it's a very unfortunate situation for all the brands having to like push back their plans for this period. I did like the locality pack, just although like I prefer Uniforia more because, as you all know, I'm a fan of white boots, right? So and
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love the new brushstroke theme that's going on with Adidas with their Euro kits as well.
Yeah,
The
definitely.
editor for Boot Hype, who's Hata, he's not a fan of it at all. But I love it. I love the whole white with the brushstroke thing. I find the colors for you that the locality pack a little bit too bright for me. I would prefer if they had played with a little bit of color blocking for those. But
Right.
man, maybe I'm old.
Yeah, I
Man.
think the thing is, I used to only wear black boots when I was a kid, like only black boots. And then since I've started doing this, I'm picking up things that are like
Super
crazy.
bright.
It's absolutely nuts.
I think
Some
I'm
of
the
your
opposite
bits-
to you. Yeah, I think I'm the opposite to you because I was always wearing Mercurials with all the bright colors like mango, volt, pink. And now I'm only starting to develop a more of an interest in the blackouts, the like black accented boots and leather boots as well. So I'm going in the reverse direction to you, James.
Yeah, you've got time yet. You're a bit younger than me. But okay, so that's locality pack, Uniforia pack, career mercurial. What
Umbro
else we
had a
got?
release as well.
Umbro,
You can tell
yes,
us about that.
good shot. So I have one that Jay will very much like here.
Ooh.
But Jay, you have some really bad experiences with like, so the red is amazing to cover that, but you've had some really bad experiences with this UX Acuro 3, right?
I wouldn't say bad, more like the lack
No
of
experiences.
experience. So for those of you who aren't familiar, so basically what I did was there was a sale for the Umbros. I bought it online, and me being like this huge cheap miserly guy, because they had free customization, I went ahead and just did the customization, which of course
no.
voided my refunds, thinking
Oh.
that how off could a size be. Well, it was really strange. So like
Yeah.
in a US 9, which is my usual size, the length felt like a US 10, but the width felt like a US 8.5 or like maybe
Yeah.
8.
Yeah.
Like I could barely squeeze my feet in. I was like, what is going on? And it was like a full thumb or a thumb and a half space. Yeah, there's no way I could play in those. And I was really upset because it felt really interesting. Like I
Mm.
genuinely wanted to feel how that D30 gel would feel in terms of the padding. Would it feel jelly like or like more padded like a leather? Yeah, well, guess I'll never find out.
No such luck.
I think I had a similar experience with the size though.
Let's go on.
No, the sizes are awful. Like, so this is my second pair. So I went down half a size in this pair because the first pair were way too long, like Jay said. And now they fit me a little bit closer lengthwise. They're still a little bit long, but they're so tight that putting my feet in is a pain in the ass. I will persist with them for a bit, but they're a nightmare. Anyway, we've gone off on a tangent already. Yeah, as what haven't we talked about yet for the new releases?
Let's have a look. So with the new releases, I think we've covered most of them. Did Puma drop a pack? I can't remember if Puma dropped a pack.
Yeah, so Puma dropped the Rise pack, right? Which I said looked like a like it's what we call a rhubarb and custard sweet in the UK. It was also kind of a peach sweet.
I know the ones.
Yeah, I'm enjoying the future in that colorway. I'm pretty confident that you guys are not.
For me personally, it's especially after you posted the picture of those sweets. For me, it started looking more and more like less and less attractive in terms of the boot. I love this chrome sole plate. That looks quite cool. But it's also kind of bittersweet in a way because it's the last Puma 1 colorway, 5.1 colorway before the new ones drop, as we know, right? So I'm really excited for the next generation of, the first generation of the Ultras that are meant to come out, but kind of sad about the ones disappearing because they're actually quite good. They're a bit underrated in my opinion.
What else did we miss? It's a fair point. I had a lot of people contact me actually and say that they think it looks a lot like the Hypervenom 3 launch colorway.
Yeah.
And I see where they've come from with that. I think there's enough of a difference that it's not like too close, but I can see the resemblance for sure. So to cover ones that have actually released, before we get onto something we definitely want to talk to Jay about. So the neighborhood pack. So I got the Vision here. I really like these.
Check out James' video if you haven't. That was pretty awesome.
Yeah, I dropped a video yesterday on yesterday at the time we're recording this of the Vision full review and everything. I did it all around Copenhagen, and you should watch it just for sympathy because it took me 15 hours to travel, record, edit, and upload that video in one day. I'm so tired. But yes, this is the neighborhood pack. I am a big fan of this. I love the details in this, and I actually think, controversial statement, I think the Vision is the best looking in that pack. What would you pick? What's your favorite neighborhood pack?
I think the tempos come out really well in that grayish tint. Tempos don't always come off well because of the leather. Like with some colors, it makes it look cheap to me.
Mhm.
But I think on the neighborhood pack, it looks great. I love the Vision tools, how it looks as well. I've not been a huge fan of Vision tools looks wise because they I just find looking a bit strange compared to the last one, but you had that Illuminati triangle, which became a little bit
Yeah.
nicer on the looks. Yeah, but
Fair.
yeah, I love the Vision tools. I still want to try it, although like for my size in the AG Pros, I feel like the length has the length has become a little bit longer than it was in the Vision ones. So it's left, or it could because it's a lot more narrow now. So like, I feel that space a bit more. So it's one that I haven't decided if I really want to get them. Unfortunately,
because you're a huge fan of the Vision One, right?
yeah, I love the Vision one so much. It's the first boot that to me really does what people keep what Nike has been marketing their sock boots, right? They keep saying knit is like socks with like studs underneath. For me, the Vision ones is the only knit boot out there that really feels that way. And the Vision 2s became a little bit more stiff. They removed some material, and I felt it lost a little bit of that magic, but we'll see.
That's fair enough. Okay, so we're going to touch on one more unreleased boot, because I think we've covered all the ones that are released. One more that's been announced but not released. Then we're going to jump into Jay, because he's got something very special, I think. So the Tequila V3 Pro, the laceless knit boot from New Balance. I don't know where to begin. I'm just going to, yes, you go, because I don't feel like I've got positive things to say on first impression. I'll let you go first.
I think we've both had a chat about this a while before the actual release. I think it was yesterday. We saw a pair on eBay, and that was pretty affordable, but both of us were contemplating on whether we get it or not. But at the end of the day, we were saying, we'll just wait a little bit. I'd say they look a bit outrageous in terms of they had the Tequila V2 that was really popular and pretty well performing. And then they go and make a drastic change on that really good design. It looks cool, in my opinion. I do really like how the texture looks at the top of the upper, and the laces part's a bit. I'll have to try it for myself, because as we know, laces is different for every person. And yeah, I think it looks cool. I'm willing to give it a chance, but we'll see what happens. What do you think, Jay?
I have no idea, man. I have no idea where to start. Like, I was a huge fan of the Tequila ones, and I've written it several times on some of my reviews that to me it's one of the most comfortable boots I've ever worn, because of how wide they were. And so it's not just being how wide, it was very soft, flexible, and I think New Balance added a layer of foam in between the materials, and that added to the amount of comfort. And for me, that was the magic of the Tequila. And it seems and feels like that they've gone the Bizarro route, where they've kind of refined it to the point where they've lost its magic. I was really excited when I first saw it in like the leaked photos, but then after seeing the high-res photos, they remind me a lot of the 19.1s, the Puma Future 19.1s, which are not a good thing, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Jay has just hit the nail on the nail on the head with everything that I'm thinking. My thought process is this: that upper looks like it has the same kind of solidity as a Puma Future 19.1, even into the patterning, and then they've added the kinetic stitch, which is there to provide structure and potentially make it even stiffer. And then on top of that, it kind of feels like they've gone a Bizarro 2 kind of route with this, and they've gone laceless for because reasons. Like, I know it's popular, but yeah, I am more than willing to give these a chance. I want to put them on feet, and I want New Balance to blow me away, because they did such great work with the Tequila 1. The Tequila 2's good, nice and refined. The new Furon, they've done a great job in kind of updating that Furon line as well. New Balance have been doing great work recently, so I'm willing to hold my judgment, really, but my initial impression, I want to be wrong so bad, but I'm not sure if I am.
I just want to jump in there. Like, I was a little bit disappointed because photos of it with laces have popped up, So I think in Japan they're selling it. So I was really because I really like the cut of the boot with the ones and twos. I think it had a very nice cut just below the ankle, but it went up high enough and at the front and the back. And I was hoping that lace models would go that route, but it seems like no. Even the lace models look a little bit cheap, with that collar and the stuff. So well, like you said, I'm hoping to be surprised pleasantly, but
Yeah.
well,
Yeah,
we'll
no,
see.
I agree. I would have liked that collar to not be on the laced models. I think that would have been really nice, but the initial pictures don't seem to be leaning that way. But we will go back to Jay, because Jay, you've got something very special for us. Something that I don't have, something that Yaz doesn't have, something that only approximately, is it 500 people in the world have? It is a pair of Dragon Predator 20 Plus. Jay, the floor is yours. Talk to us about these beautiful boots and that box. My God, that egg that you've just cracked open. Wow.
If you guys are not watching,
tell us all the things. I'm just going to sit here and listen to you.
If you guys aren't
Yeah,
watching that video, he's actually unboxing it in front of us, and we're just in awe, just watching this egg crack open, revealing these beautiful predators. That's amazing. All right, take the floor.
Oh, where do I begin with this? I think so one of the things that so we have an on-feed review on Boot Hype, which I
Casual plug.
contributed. Yeah, shameless plug there, which I contributed to. And in there we talk a little bit about the fit, which is fairly similar to the Predator 20 Plus. But I think that one of the things that a lot of people don't really talk about, which is very sad, and I feel a bit sorry for Adidas as well, is that what makes this boot really special is not the fact that it's a leather Predator, right? So that's when it first came out, that was its claim to fame. Everyone was saying it's a leather Predator, it's giving people what they want. But when I really look at this is not really a leather Predator. It's more of Adidas flexing, right? So in the smartphone world, we have Samsung who just have this $3,000 phone that can fold into, right?
Yeah.
Nobody knows why they would need a foldable phone, but it's really something that Samsung just does because they can. And to me, this Predator is sort of Adidas flexing to show, hey, this is everything we have in our locker put all into one glorious package. All our innovation. You've got laceless, you've got the demon skin, which is amazing, the rubber. I know some people have had durability issues, but so far mine's been all right. And more importantly, the fusion skin. So fusion skin is a very interesting subject, right? Because a lot of it was mentioned casually in the 19.1, when Copa 19 and 20 were launched. I actually did some research, and if you look online, even on the press releases for Copa, there's barely any information about it regarding fusion skin. And to me, fusion skin, Adidas are not known for this, but Adidas are actually the ones who have been pushing the boundaries of what a leather product should be in this modern day, right? I previously, another shameless plug, I previously wrote an article about
Feel free.
the future of leather for football boots on Boot Hype, and one of the Adidas designers actually saw it, and he commented that a lot of people also forget that the leather cage, which is so popular now with the Rebel 3s and the Tempo Legend 7s and 6s, was actually pioneered by Adidas back in 11 Pros and 11 Pro 3s. And after a while, Nike came out and used it and did it slightly differently, but with the same concept. I would say they refined it a little bit better, and then all of a sudden everyone was doing it. And now I think fusion skin for me is Adidas's next big push for leather, right? Because there's not much new details on it. As far as my friend was willing to tell me, it's a way that they treat leather such that it allows them to play with it like a synthetic. And yeah, it sounds like meh, right? Like okay, being able to paste stuff on leather. Most people don't think about it that way. But picture this instead, right? the main reason why most people don't like to use leather boots or full leather boots these days is because leather stretches. It lacks the sort of stability that people enjoy or people want these days with that synthetics or knit provides, right? But Adidas has managed to find a way to make a leather boot not only have structure but also be laceless. I think when
Yeah,
you look at it that way, to me that's how amazing Fusion Skin is. It's definitely one of the ace in the holes that Adidas has. And I think that the Predator Dragon, people shouldn't look at it as an overpriced leather Predator, which it is. And I feel very sorry for Adidas because I'm sure they had this huge marketing campaign planned. I first caught sight of it because I think back in February they popped up on the Singapore Adidas page, right?
What did
And it
they?
said it was coming soon. So I posted it on my Instagram, and then like the Adidas designer was like, yeah, it's that expensive because it's leather. I was like, wow, mind blown. And then like no news came out until now. So it's, yeah, I'm a bit sorry for Adidas because I'm sure that if they, without the whole situation going on in the world, they would have had a lot more opportunity to brand this properly, for what it really is, which is a hotbed of innovation, consisting of all the really good stuff that's been going on in Adidas that a lot of people don't really take note of.
Wow. I had about 4 questions written down here to ask you about the Dragon Predator, and you've just answered all of them in one swoop. That is yeah, round of applause, my friend.
Without breaking a sweat.
That is, if you do not know what Fusion Skin is, or about the Dragon Predator, Jay has literally just told you pretty much what you need to know straight off the bat. And I completely agree. I think Fusion Skin is, the future of leather tech. You're right. The fact that they've been able to essentially glue elements to leather instead of stitching them in, and they've got this stability in a laceless boot. It's pretty mind blowing. But you have mentioned the future of leather tech, and I think that probably leads us nicely onto another yet to be released but soon to be released boot, which I know you're very excited about, and I'm sure you are as well, Jay. So we've got 2 actually. So we have the brand new Mizuno Morelia Neo 3, and we also have the brand new Neo Beta 3. So this is a boot that most of my information comes from Jay and the Kaijin Boot blog on. I personally haven't held these or anything at all, but you guys are both big into the Mizuno. So Yaz, I'm going to leave this one to you to quiz Jay on this new Morelia Neo 3.
Okay, cool. So I still haven't gotten the chance to test out a Morelia Neo 3, and like James said, most of my Mizuno knowledge also comes from Jay. So he's the right person to ask. So if you're into Mizuno, definitely pay attention to this part. So what makes the beta kind of more exciting than the regular Morelia? Can you describe that for us?
All right. So I think late last year, what the Mizuno did was to release the Morelia Neo 2 beta. And back then, people were saying that this was sort of like a glimpse into what Morelia Neo 3 could be like. This was pretty similar to when we had the Flyknit Ultra, where Aaron said it was like a sort of gateway, a glimpse of what the new Mercurial Vapor, which was 12, I believe, would have looked like. And of course, in the end, the only thing that was similar between both boots were that they used Flyknit, and not much got carried over. So when I first saw these, the Neo 2 betas, I was not a huge fan of it, and because they used a new mesh based synthetic on the sides, and it just didn't fit my foot really well. The leather was a little bit too thin for me. So after trying out the Neo 2 beta, I was hoping and praying that not too much of this would go on to a Neo 3, and thankfully for me at least, it seems that's the case. I think the Neo 3 is really a sort of refinement of the Neo 2. And it's, when I say refinement, it's not one of those like, slapping on a rubber heel, or like even the Vision 2 kind of improvement. That what Mizuno like to do is what they did with the Neo 1, for example. What they added back in Neo 1 was to I'm not sure if you guys can see. they have this like zigzag patterns. They call it wave fit system that allows you to really customize your fit. Yeah, they have that in the regular tree as well. So that's essentially what they did on from Neo 1 to Neo 2, which sounds crazy, but it actually fits so much better. So in the
Wow.
Neo trees, they have that. They've changed the outsole, I believe. Instead of having a full outsole, they've used what's also on a regular tree, which is this honeycomb pattern. If you can, let me get my. So,
He's actually got
Jay's
the pairs all lined up. If you
I was
have,
gonna
if you
say,
no.
Jay's just digging into like a big box and just pulling out like Mizuno boots one after the other.
if you don't
So,
follow our Instagram page, we did share Jade's photo of all his boots laid out, ready for the podcast. So, all right, here we go. He's showing us a pair of his
what they do
regulars.
is like a half insole board thing. So underneath this is actually instead of a solid insole, it's actually hexagonal shapes, right? So what happens apparently is that that gives you the same structure, but because there's lesser materials involved, you save on weight. Apparently the fit has also changed a fair amount to be a bit more barefoot. We'll see about that. As well as the synthetics on the side are a bit more soft. So it's a bit more barefoot feel.
Could you also tell us
I think
about,
it's-
you talked about them including knits into the boot as well with the Morelia 3s. Could you expand a little bit on that?
Oh yeah. So they've also added a knit heel on those. I really like the heel tab, the concept of the heel tab, because I find it helps me put my foot in a lot easier. So yeah, so I think in Neo trees they've added a knit heel. I believe they've also changed the sh- the construction of the heel area where they used to. Now they've actually stitched this extra padding onto the boot itself, because apparently it was giving people blisters. It's one of those like quality of life changes. That's the term I was looking for. It's one of those things that don't capture attention, but it's those like when you wear it, you feel it.
Right.
And
The little details, right?
yeah, and
Now,
then
I
for
think,
the Morelia Neo 3 beta, there's not that much news about it. From what it looks like, it's pretty much similar to the Neo 3s, but instead it has a one piece upper with like a knit tongue. I believe it's like a full knit material from the back onwards, and it looks very much like the what do you call it? Like the A17.1 leather, where it was like
right,
instead of mesh at the back, it's knit, and then it's like a
forefoot.
thin-ish layer of leather in front.
Right.
And one last thing, sorry, I forgot about this point.
Keep going, keep going.
You go, Jay. You go.
Something else that the beta has, which is this. I'm not sure if this can pick up. Yep. So if you can spot what's inside, that's
Yes,
not carbon.
the Carvo stuff, right?
Yeah, so that's not carbon fiber. It's called carbo. It's designed to mimic carbon fiber, but it's actually a plastic, so it's cheaper. But it's really just there. It's supposedly a very lightweight, yet very strong material, similar to carbon fiber, supposed to give you a bit more oomph, a bit more structure, a bit more stiffness for that. What a carbon fiber sole plate feels like.
Right.
Yeah, so kind of
Sorry.
like that springy, responsive sensation
Yes.
you get while, I completely get it.
That's cool.
Yeah, so because obviously everyone's kind of moved away from carbon fiber with it being kind of, cheaper to produce in plastics with the same quality. And this Carvo seems to be a really good kind of alternative or a really good material that a few companies have moved towards, especially people who are doing like stuff that's as high quality as Mizuno are.
Definitely.
Yeah.
In terms
All
of
right, so we're gonna leave the Mizuno discussion there because otherwise we've got a lot to get through today, and I feel like we're gonna come back around. Jay is gonna run the gauntlet today, and his specialist subject that he has chosen is Mizuno. Now, I asked Jay, "What specialist subject do you want?" He said Mizuno. I said, "Do you want to be more specific?" And he went, "No, Mizuno." So that's what's happening.
Apparently
So
he
he's
knows
going to run the
everything.
gauntlet later on, so stick around for that. But we do have Jay here, so it makes sense to touch on a topic that I think is incredibly interesting, and it's something I've wanted to discuss for a while. And like I say, this is the perfect opportunity. And it's essentially a couple of things. It's the fact that you get some different releases in Asia with regards to boots. You get completely different boots. You get modifications to boots, and just how that affects kind of the boot culture in Asia as a whole. Because boot culture, boot hype, it's a big thing. And with the boots being different in Asia, does that run differently? And we have an Asian boot reviewer on the channel based in Asia. What more could we possibly want? So we'll start with the culture. Yaz, what did you the culture was your idea. What are your questions on boot culture?
So in general, like, we've got different collectors and football boot enthusiasts from all over the world. What's it like in Singapore? So how did you get into it, and are your friends into it? And just tell us all about it.
Right. I think when you guys first broached me up this topic about talking about Asia, the boot culture in Asia, I think it's very important to really separate Asia out, because it's a fairly big continent, right? So I think you can realistically look at it as China and Japan, and then Korea on its own, and then you have the rest of Southeast Asia. Singapore's kind of in the same boat as Korea, I would say. And I think what really separates these countries out is the level of the economics in the country. So of course, I'm sure, as both of you know, Asia has a good amount of inequality as well. But for some reason, which is extremely surprising, some of the biggest and the craziest, sorry, not crazy, some of the biggest and the most impressive collectors come from Asia, right? We've got Gun 22, who has tons of like match worn boots. I believe I've heard he's like he's the CEO of some of really big company in Thailand. So that's kind of players who are in the market for those. There's a guy called Boot Maniac Thailand who's also got a good number of player worn boots.
Yes. He has an awesome Instagram page.
Yeah. There was an article on SoccerNet, I think a couple of months back, where there was this Thai this Thai actor who was a huge football fan, and he has a whole room of match worn boots, not just match worn boots, but Beckham boots.
Wow.
and he was complaining that towards the end he's been outbid by much younger kids who have way more money and sort of thing. So I think on one hand, you've got people who only look at takedowns, or even like stuff that's not in that's like from really, really small brands, the local brands. And on the other hand, you've got like extremely big spenders who are sweeping out all these things.
Awesome.
Fair enough. So you got like a real big kind of difference from one to the other. But there is a real, I suppose, a real culture and a real demand for boots in Asia as a whole. It seems like a huge market for many companies, especially if you start talking about, like you say, separating out, and like China, Japan, places like that. They seem to be, the market's huge in China anyway, isn't it?
Yeah.
So moving on from the culture, you've obviously mentioned that you get all of these different brands and these different boots. So I wanted to ask can you kind of give us some idea of what some of these other brands are that some people may have never ever heard of, kind of why they're different, why they're popular in Asia, and then kind of expand that into your Adidas's, your Nikes, because you get completely different setups in some of these boots. Like the Adidas have different sole plates, sometimes they're constructed differently, and it's all specifically for some of these Asian markets. Like, why is that? What is it about the Asian market that drives that change? And drives those smaller brands to still be there and be successful? What do people want?
Can I also add to that question as well? Just if you could also mention what brands are the most popular in the Asian market as well. We're interested to hear about that as well.
All right. So again, gotta separate them out again. I think when we think about different smaller brands, sorry, not smaller brands. When you think about local brands, I'm talking about brands like PAN, which is, I believe it's a Thai brand, which you guys have probably have never heard about. It's mainly because they produce really, really cheap football boots. for like the locals there who may not be at a certain economic level to spend that sort of money. I believe there's a Kronos, although I'm not sure if that's Southeast Asian or from somewhere else. There's a great video series on Copa 90, which is about this bunch of Indonesian kids essentially going to England to pick up the culture to try and break into teams there. They go through like Premier League style training and all that. And if you look at some of their boots, a lot of them are using takedowns, very old models, and a good number of them are using a couple of the local brands, which I'm not super familiar with as well. Those are all the smaller Indonesia brands and the Thai brands, and yeah. So, but when we talk about brands producing specific stuff for certain markets, that really goes down to China and Japan. And so, before we go to China, let's start with Japan. So, what happens is that for some reason, the Japanese market is very, very specific. I think a lot of them play on sandy grounds. And so what a lot of brands do, or brands used to do, for example, they will have a hard ground variation of their boots. So and Adidas actually produced a boot which is made in Japan. So this is the Petite X, which has a HG sole plate. This is also the same sole plate used for the IDPLs 1, 2, 3, and 4, as well as the early powers. And so this is actually made in Japan. It's a half kangaroo leather front, kangaroo leather in front, which seems to be what most Japanese prefer, I believe, because kangaroo leather is soft, it expands, and most of us Asians have wider feet. So this works for us. And most of the boots in Japan all have rivets to give it more durability. I'm not really sold on the rivets adding that much durability, because if anything, this comes out first. This separates out, and by the time it reaches here, your boots are gone. It just prevents it from like opening up totally, but it's pretty much gone by the time it reaches the rivets. But it visually it gives you a bit more confidence. So in Japan, Adidas, Nike, and Puma used to produce Japan specific boots. With Nike, it was the Tiempo, one of the Tiempos. Andrew, Gaijin Boot Blog would know a bit better. With Pumas, they still have the Puma One, which is totally different from that Puma One. It's got the Puma One J, which is made in Japan. It's very similar to this. Kangaroo leather in front, synthetics on the sides, and they even have one of the old Puma King, the seat belt construction, which helps to add a bit more structure to the sides. I can't remember which Puma King it was. It was one of the really limited ones back in the days where Puma were doing crazy stuff with their Puma Kings. And then so you have those brands who are producing boots on their own. And then with smaller brands like Umbro, as well as I believe Under Armour, what they do is that there are football factories there. There are certain brands there who pay Umbro and Under Armour money to use their brands for branding, actually produce their own variations of speed boots. So there is one of my favorite Under Armour boots right now is called the Under Armour Freely Pro HG, which is more or less like a Morelia Neo 2, but with much nicer underfoot cushioning, because it's got the same charged cushioning. And then Umbro has also got their Umbro Accelerator Pro, which was worn by Endo back in the World Cups and all those. I think right now it's being worn by Gaki, who plays in Spanish League, if I'm not wrong. So that one is cover as well, but it's essentially I call it the Morelia Neo 2 template, which is like a speed, a lightweight outsole with leather on top, and then synthetics inside. So it seems to me that in Japan it looks like there's pretty much just two styles of boots, right? So you have your classic no, this isn't classic anyway. So you've got your classic full kangaroo leather boots, and then you've got your modern half leather, half synthetic kind of boots. More or less that's it. And then And then if we go on to China, China's a whole different world, right? So what's been happening is that brands like ASICS and Japan and Mizuno have started to look towards China, because beforehand, I think they've had some difficulties in terms of breaking the international market, right, due to lack of marketing, the marketing budget. So what they're doing is they have instead looked to China, and they start producing boots which are very AG specific. So one of the things that I learned when I was looking at the China forums was that you a lot of them play on really bad artificial AG pitches. So it's not even a 3G pitches, it's those AG pitches with like a lot of sand in it. It's a sort
Yeah.
that you can only wear turf shoes.
Right.
But everybody wants like the edgy stuff that the pros are wearing. So what they used to
Yeah.
do was they'll and I kid you not, their brands, their companies on Taobao, which is sort of like the Amazon, where you can send your boots to a factory, they'll grind down your studs for you so it's much lower, like a HG, and then people use those.
Wow.
Wow.
So it's a really interesting phenomenon. I think what ASICS and Mizuno have done very intelligently is that they've been sending a lot of takedown models at lower prices, but with those AG specific boots to China. And I can't confirm this, but I have a sneaky suspicion that the only reason why Adidas still has used to do those their AG studs, which is the ones with the really, really small and short studs that had a lot. I think they stopped it recently and
Yeah,
switched
they
to
did.
the more AG HG sort of thing. I think those were specifically for China back then. Yeah.
It would make sense. It's such a huge market for any company to break into. You look at what's happening currently with the pandemic, and the hit that companies are reporting taking purely out of China just shows how big that market can be for anybody. So hey,
Definitely.
we can call it a conspiracy theory, but you might absolutely be right. That's possibly the reason why.
But it's also a difficult market to break into because I always say one of if you dance with the devil, you're gonna get burned, right, to some extent. And you sort of see that in China because a lot of brands used to manufacture their stuff in China. And some of these factories have started to do um I wouldn't say shady, but they've taken some of the learnings from those. So for example, I have a boot here. If you ignore the branding, what does this remind you of? Like a stitching pattern like this with like a
An off-center lacing system.
Yeah, Zoom
yeah.
T90.
Yeah, so it looks like a Zoom Total 93, right? And when I first bought this is half leather. I think I paid about 130 Singapore dollars, including shipping over. And they let me pick, the color, they let me pick the sole. This was one of the old the
Ooh.
Bomba Finale 2 sole plate.
Right.
I
I was
could
gonna. It's
yeah,
familiar. Yeah.
I could pick the AG Pro, no, not AG Pro. When I bought this, I could pick the older, the Octopod style AG sole plate. I could
Yeah,
even
the
pick the
AGR
Copa.
style.
Yeah, I could even pick the Copa Mundial turf sole plate. So I think we're starting to see a lot of small brands in China, those who have been selling Nike and Adidas products, and they've gained sort of a small following. They start to produce very interesting stuff. So there's a one of the this is a different brand. There's a new brand that's recently come out who's selling turf shoes as well. Because again, most of them play on turf, poor grass, poor quality turf, so they tend to sell turf shoes, and they've been marketing it like crazy. It's supposedly leather upper. And the most interesting thing that they've done, which I've also bought, is I hope it's inside here. Is ta-da! All right, James might be familiar with this.
Ooh.
Oh
So
wow.
yeah,
Okay.
so they've actually started selling this like carbon fiber esque um
Yeah.
plate for you to put it inside. Um, I have no idea if it's real. It
Does it
the
feel real?
easy answer for me to say is that it's not. But I have a friend who goes to China fairly often. He plays in it as well. Tokyo Football, whom you've spoken to. But he's a material engineer and says that from his experience that is real carbon fiber. And apparently carbon fiber is not expensive. It's just expensive. It's just difficult to work with. So it's a workmanship
Mm.
that brings the price up, not the material itself.
Manufacturing, machining,
Yeah,
and stuff.
so I just think it's really interesting what they're doing in China, and because like you said, the market is so big, these smaller players can actually once they have decent following, if they start selling, they start being a little bit more innovative and creative, I guess. They could carve their own way out. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. So there's such a huge market that they can actually manage to carve out a following within a place that should technically be dominated by huge brands, but it's not going to be, because these other places are going to be able to take little sections of this market.
Yep. You're absolutely right.
I just have one more question before we move on to the next section. For the viewers listening, or the people listening to the podcast and watching the video of the podcast, how can they go about getting a pair of these Asia-specific, Asia-exclusive football boots if they're interested in getting one?
That is an excellent question.
That's really tough.
Just in the simplest way possible. If you know where to go, just give a suggestion.
Okay, so my easy answer is that if you're looking at the Japanese stuff, Rakuten used to have this global market, but you had to jump through a couple of hoops in terms of getting a forwarding service, and then tax would go up. So I'd say if you want to get Japanese stuff, Tokyo Football is a friend of ours. This is totally not a sponsored shout out, but he's a really nice guy. It's someone we've worked with before. I believe I got James to contact him for the Monacida, which James has reviewed before.
Showing it now.
He can hook you up with some of the more obscure Japanese stuff. Although right now I believe the coronavirus is kind of throwing a lot of the shipping stuff out of control. In terms of China, it's pretty difficult unless you're located within Asia. You can try using Taobao, which is taobao.com. I believe they have an English version of it right now, and they have an automatic forwarding service within the site. But
cool.
Again, it's the cost, right? I believe tax is fairly heavy in some of your countries, so those might be the bigger hurdles to cross.
Cool.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree about Tokyo Football. That's like I say, Jay put me in touch with him, and that's how I got these Morelia Neos. You can check them out on Instagram there. I can confirm again about the whole pandemic situation, because I have a pair of New Balance 442 SPs currently stuck in Japan that can't come out to me because of the whole thing. Yeah, as you've got like 6 boots coming stuck in the post somewhere around the world, not necessarily from Japan.
Not necessarily from Japan.
And yeah, again, Tokyo Football, I spoke to him recently about picking up a pair of Gavik boots, and he was able to source those for me. So maybe when the whole global situation subsides, I might be able to pick those up as well. But yeah, I completely concur with everything that Jay's just said, and I have good experience with all of them. And I tell you what, Tokyo Football better start paying us. We're not sponsored. We're not sponsored, but we should be.
Where's the affiliate codes, right?
Absolutely. Wow.
A quick heads up to James. If and when you get the Gavik boots, you might want to bring a pair of scissors with you, because they come in glorious boxes. Like they're like the second best box, and the only box that's beaten it are the Predator Dragons. They come in this gorgeous box. At least the Gavik I had. So
I need those now.
Yeah. So I think after you remove the packaging, you're gonna be mind blown. It's gorgeous. Like for $120 boot, which is an insane dollars,
at all.
They're really cheap, and I was like, wow, they're putting a lot of effort into the box itself. So heads up.
Nice.
I might need to check it out myself.
Like, now I really want them. Okay. So I figure with that, we will move on to the first iteration of a segment that we will have repeating on the channel, on the podcast, the Wheel of Misfortune. Now, it's called the Wheel of Misfortune because I couldn't think of a better name.
So James came up with it.
What this is you guys have given us some questions, and you can submit questions either down in the comments or on our Instagram page, which is at the Boot FC. You can do it to me, to Yaz, on our Instagrams as well. And we're basically looking for questions that are maybe a little bit lighthearted, maybe a little bit on the silly side, something that we can answer. We've pulled 3. We've got one definite unfortunate question, one fun question, and then something a little bit more serious to discuss as well. So I have the questions. I'll fire through, and then I will ask your responses and then give mine. So the first question, and I think this is my favorite one, and I know my answer already. So we pulled this out. You have to choose one of these players' hairstyles to have. Which one do you choose? Okay, your options are Taribo West, Carlos Valderrama, and Roberto Baggio. So if there's anybody who's not quite as old as me, Carlos Valderrama had the world's most fantastic afro. This huge afro. It's a Colombian player. It's super iconic. Roberto Baggio had the world's worst and most extreme mullet. Very short in the front. And then it was like halfway down his back at like peak Baggio mullet. And then Taribo West had like 2 little trees that kind of came out the top of his head that he had like kind of tip dyed green. Super weird. But they're your options. And we're going to go to our guest first. Jay, Baggio, Valderrama, West. Whose hair are you having? You've got to have this for like 12 months.
Oh my God.
Oh, no.
I'll go with the afro.
He's going with the afro. I think the afro is the safe bet. I think the afro is the safe bet. Okay. Yes. What is it? Is it afro, like mini trees, or is it the mullet?
I'll be honest. As you were saying, I looked them up because I didn't recognize 2 of the hairstyles. But I'm gonna say, I feel like I can pull off the trees. I think I can.
The trees?
No, get it going. Yeah. Shave off the wrist and just have little 2 trees. We'll see how it works. No promises.
Okay. Well, I'm wearing a hat, but as most of you will be aware if you watch my channel, etc., I have no hair, so I should probably just be delighted.
It all fell
to be
down
able
here,
to,
right?
to have hair. Yeah, I have the beard. Like that's about it. And my theory is that I've got to kind of match up with the beard here, right? But you can't go Baggio. That's so awful. The Baggio one's the worst. I think I'm with Jay. I think I'm going to go big. I've got no hair. Let's overcompensate. Afro Valderrama. That's my guy.
I'm picturing you with the beard and the massive afro, and I just can't handle
it's like the greatest thing ever.
Are you going to have any room on your screen for actual boots, or are you just going to show off your hair the whole time?
It's a good question. If I sit here, like I reckon I could take up like most of this part of the screen.
This is the boot. No, you're going to get way more subscribers like that, James.
Exactly. I'd need to change my logo again, though. I'd have to have like afro and beard.
All right. We'll just get the designers to do it.
Okay. Question 2. This is a bit nicer. Nothing unfortunate about this. So you get to assist a goal in the World Cup final. Who do you want to score it? So you're in the World Cup. So you got to consider the team. And also the player that you want on the end of it's a perfect ball. It's a perfect through ball. It's a 40-yard ping. It's whatever you want it to be. It can be the equivalent of Daley Blind hitting that ball into Van Persie. It can be that good, but it's in the World Cup final. And you get to choose who scores. Who scores? We'll start with Yaz this time. If you pick Ronaldo, I swear.
Okay, I was about to, not gonna lie, but I would love to assist Ronaldo since I'm a big CR7 fan, but I was thinking the moment has to be perfect. Like, so I'm going back to, let's say, Germany in the final, in that cross to Mario Götze, that heartbreak. I would love to assist that. Something like that that's just unbelievable and sends one half of the fans just crazy and the other half just explodes. So something like that. I'd say let's assist Mario Götze on that one. I'd love to do that. That would be sick.
Okay, so you're going back to a specific game and you're going to assist that Götze finish. That's amazing.
If it was a particular player, I'd love to assist CR7. But if we're picking a moment, I'll go with Götze.
So you're going to assist the Götze moment, but you're going to obviously assist CR7 if you can.
Yeah,
Yaz, if you haven't picked up already, Yaz is a huge CR7 fan.
You can tell by my materials.
Yeah, absolutely. Something else that has been announced to be coming this month, actually, we can say this without it being a leak of anything, is the new CR7 Safaris. We didn't even discuss that. That's coming this month. That's going to be massive. We'll do that in another pod, but we will mention it. Jay, you're assisting the goal in a World Cup final. Who are you assisting?
Right. So I've been trying to make this a running joke on Boot Hype where I keep calling Messi like the second best player in the world. So like part of me wants to exist CR7 just so like with a World Cup and a European Cup, he's like head and shoulders above Messi, even though like it makes no sense at all. No, but I mean, truthfully, if I really want to exist someone, I would go with Marco Reus because it's one of those things where I have no idea why, but I love him as a player. I first found out about him from one of those obscure magazines who rated him as one of like the top 100 best players in the world. I think it was in bed with Maradona.com. And then and the guy's been so unlucky with injuries. He got injured before the 2014 World Cup, and then of course they won it. Right. I think he got injured at the 2012 Euros that they won or something. I can't remember. Yeah, and then the only World Cup he made it for, the only major tournament he made it for, they got knocked out at the group stages.
Oh yeah.
So yeah,
that's actually a good pick.
You've picked a very selfless answer there. Not only do you get to assist it, you've picked a moment to really give somebody like some elevation that they deserve and a moment that they deserve. That was very. I feel bad now. That was a very
what do you mean? What
altruistic answer.
I feel like CR7 deserves a World Cup as well. That's selfless, right?
Because he hasn't won enough things.
But that's actually really good.
Enough. He needs the popularity boost.
He needs my assist on his record table. He needs my assist. But that's actually a really good pick. Marco Reus is a really good shout. Yeah. So we both have Germany on our picks, I guess.
Yeah.
One of our picks. Yeah.
So I'm gonna go completely different and a little bit in like. It's kind of, I suppose it's selfish. Like I'm English, so if I'm assisting a goal in a World Cup final, that means England are scoring a goal in a World Cup final. So I will absolutely take that. But I'm also going to go another way, and I'm going to pick something that's kind of similar to what Jay's gone with, and I'm going to go. I realize this is physically impossible, but this is like a fantasy booking event here. I'm going to go for a women's football game. Nice. And my preference would be to assist Lucy Bronze playing for England in a World Cup final. So then I get England in a World Cup. I get a goal. I get to assist it. It's my favorite player. Like there's no downside to that. Apart from the fact that I think my beard would give away I shouldn't be in the game.
And yeah, I was gonna ask, are you gonna be playing with the beard and the afro, or you gonna grow your hair long for that?
Of course. So what we've established is that I'm going to be in a women's football game, assisting a goal in a World Cup final with a massive beard and a giant Valderrama-esque afro.
Love it.
Even like if you're just listening to this, surely that has given you a phenomenal visual in your head.
We describe well with words. Our words are amazing.
I do my best. But unfortunately, what that does is it takes us out of the Wheel of Misfortune. I hope you have enjoyed it.
We'll be back next
put your
time.
Questions down in the comments or send us them on Instagram. The more random, the better. Sorry, I've missed a question.
Oh yeah,
I'm so bad at my own job. Okay, we'll fire through this because I really want to get to this next part because it's just hilarious. Awesome. Very quickly, which boot was released ahead of its time? So this came through on Instagram, and I'm really sorry if I've forgotten your Instagram handle. I apologize. But yeah, which boot was released ahead of its time? And I'm going to go first so that nobody can steal my answer because it's really obvious.
The first laceless boot
in my hand. Lotto zero gravity. First ever laceless boot. Like if you consider how big laceless boots are now and the impact that they've had on the industry, the fact that this failed it seems even more ridiculous now. But yeah, Lotto zero gravity laceless. Jay, what are you picking?
I think I'm going to have to preface this a little bit. I think I feel like the Hyper Venom Phantom one came out a bit too early, because I liked how it felt. I'm not the biggest fan of it, so I don't have like nostalgia goggles on. But I think that a lot of what
kick him off the channel.
A lot what gave it what made it special was that barefoot feel, that sock-like feel, if you know what I mean. And I think you guys might know where I'm going to with next is that honestly, Venom Phantom 2 with quad fit inside would have solved all its issues. And that's only for that reason I felt like the Phantom 2s were released ahead of its time. Right? If quad fit had been there at that point of time, I feel no issues.
Nice. So it's kind of like it's something that was released before the technology was available to make it right.
Amazing.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's a very good pick. Yes.
Good choice. I'm gonna have to go with the Under Armour boot with the zipper. No, I'm kidding. While we're on that though, do you think the market wasn't ready for something that innovative?
So
But
let's
let's not go there. Let's not go there.
Let's not go there. That's a topic for another video.
just jumping in quickly on that. Have you guys so I heard this story on another podcast. I believe it was the Boot Nerds podcast. So apparently that zipper underneath it was not supposed to be laceless. It was supposed to be a different sort of lock system to lock your foot in. And apparently, according to Jay Mike, apparently they gave up on it halfway through because it made no sense. And so, but they still had the zipper there, and that's why you had the zipper and like the laces. So the zipper had a purpose, which made a lot more sense. But I don't know what they decided to do with it.
I haven't listened to that podcast yet. I usually do listen to the Boot Nerds, but I haven't listened to that one yet. But that wouldn't surprise me because you know what? The boot makes no sense.
It's in a way it's ahead of its time, so that's my thing.
There's no like if
we'll have to wait and find out.
In 10 years and there's a raft of boots that have zippers, then I will rescind my statement that it's a ridiculous idea. However, until that time, it is not ahead of its time. It's something that should have been left in the bin.
Okay, I think we can conclude on that. Let's head into next segment. James?
Yes, it is. This is JayC. He knows what's coming. He sounds exasperated already. It is the Gauntlet, which is now the official name. We've confirmed it. The Gauntlet. So in this round, what happens is our guest on the show, this time JayC, gets to pick a category of choice, somewhat mastermind-esque. Jay has chosen Mizuno. We have 10 questions. The questions get progressively more difficult from 1 through 10. You get 1 life. So you are allowed to get 1 question wrong and move on to the next question without any repercussions. You just don't get the point for that question. We have a leaderboard. Yaz and I took on each other in the very first gauntlet, and I got 5 points. Yaz got 5 points. So 5 is the number to beat, Jay, if you want to be the top of the leaderboard. Do you understand?
Yes.
Are you ready for this?
In all honesty, I wanted to do some research, but I got carried away with the research for the Asian book culture. So I did not do any for this. So we'll see.
We will see.
The less prepared, the better.
Here we go.
Cool.
Yeah, less prepared, the better for us. Okay, so they start off easy. Nice and easy, okay? I hope. First question. Dun, 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 dun. What year was the original Mizuno Morelia released in?
Oh my god.
Oh, I've stumped on the first question. Yeah, the first one. So the original Morelia.
1985.
Boom, he's in. First question. He's got it right.
That's awesome. Good one.
Correct. Man. Knowledge.
Wow,
okay,
that was a tricky one.
That was the first one.
The next one I estimate will take you about 5 seconds to answer. Question 2. What is the name of the boot worn by Rivaldo at the 2002 World Cup?
Mizuno Wave Cup.
Yes, there you go. Nice and easy. Boom. He's 2 for
Well
2.
done.
He's 2 for 2.
That should have been the first question.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
I'm kidding.
There we go. Okay. Question 3. A little bit more difficult, but I'm very confident you know the answer. And I'm hoping it's still correct. It's your research. What is the lightest Mizuno boot ever made?
It's the Morelia Neo 1. Wait. Yeah,
Are you sticking with 1?
No, I remember this because I pointed out that although Mizuno said that the betas were the lightest ones ever, they were not. It was the Neos. Yeah, it was the Neo ones.
There we go. He knows his own article. He knows what he wrote. He is correct.
Well
the Mizuno Morelia Neo 1. He's 3 for 3 with very little struggle. Here we go.
Ooh, no sweat.
Okay. No sweat. He's got this. Okay, next up. How long do Mizuno last their made in Japan boots for?
24 hours.
Easy. Easy.
How long did that take? Whoa. 24 seconds.
Record time.
I reckon you didn't
There we
even
go.
finish asking the question, James.
So for anyone that
Cool.
doesn't know, lasting is the process where the boots are put around a last to give them the shape, etc. It's usually done for about 20 minutes on most boots from most brands. One of the reasons the Mizuno made in Japan's are so good, this quality is so high, is because they are lasted for 24 hours. And Jay knew that. All right, so that is the first 4 questions down. Question 5. Starting to ramp things up a little bit, but we're still not too bad.
Get on par with
I'm still
us.
confident you'll get this one. Okay. Which one of these players has never been a Mizuno athlete?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So your options are Kaka, Hulk, Patrick Kluivert, and Frank de Boer.
Which one of these has never?
Yeah. So they haven't worn Mizuno boots as standard. So Kaka, Hulk, Kluivert, and Frank de Boer are your options.
Oh man, this is tricky.
I feel like you immediately knocked 2 of them off because you were like, okay, they wore Mizuno boots, and now you're stuck between the other 2.
Yeah, absolutely. Although technically Kaka was never signed to Mizuno. He just wore it
But,
for.
wore Mizuno boots basically. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Patrick Kluivert.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
It's incorrect. The answer was Frank de Boer. He's lost his first life.
Oh man.
He's lost his first life.
It's cool, man. It's
There
cool.
we go.
You got this.
It's cool. It's cool.
That was
It's
a
all
good
good.
That was a
One
good
life, one life down. One life down. Okay. Next up, we're question 6. So you're on 4 points, but this is question 6. No lives left. If you get this wrong, you're out. It's only 4 points, and you have to go. You have the tragic status of being below Yaz and I on the leaderboard.
It's not something to be proud of.
Nobody wants that. Okay. Next up, what was the combination of letters and numbers on the back of Fernando Torres's signature Morelia Neo 2?
Numbers and
Letters. So it's three digits. A combination of letters and numbers on the.
F90.
Boom. Boom. He's there.
Well done,
Yes.
man. You've tied us.
He's
Welcome
tied it
to
up.
welcome to Five
Yes.
Mountain.
Welcome to 5 points in mediocrity.
It's nice here. It's nice here. We're very, very
yeah,
overpopulated.
Yeah.
We're very comfortable here, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Normal's good.
Nothing wrong with that. Okay.
Cool.
To go top of the leaderboard. This is big. You could be the first ever champion of the gauntlet. Okay. What year did Mizuno launch the Basara boots in? These questions do get progressively more difficult for anybody that wasn't aware. So,
thinking.
Jay's going to have to think about these ones as they go.
Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock.
The first Basara, right?
Yeah.
Wait. Let me do it quick.
No Google.
I feel like he's got this.
The trees were launched in 2018 was Rebel 2, 2017 Rebel 1. Basara 3 was 2016. Go with 20. 2012.
2012 for the first one?
Yeah.
Are we sure?
Damn it.
I'm going all Who Wants to Be a
It's
Are you
Millionaire?
locking
here.
in? Are you locking in?
13. You know what? Let's just go with 12.
2012. It's locked in, and you are stuck in mediocrity, my friend.
Oh.
The answer was 20. The answer, according to Mizuno's official website, is 2014.
Well,
I'm sorry.
Welcome to the club,
I'm
man.
sorry, but
Welcome to Five Club.
welcome to the land of 5 points. And I'm not going to lie to you. The questions after that got stupid hard.
could you just let me know what the next question was?
Yeah, we'll run through it,
yes,
but
I can.
yeah.
Let's have a look. And then the final one, which is question 10 is always designed around the idea of being impossible to answer. And if you get it, you're basically a Boot FC podcast god. So the question was, which Villarreal player wore the Mizuno Morelia ultralight Hulk boots?
That's a good one.
Yeah,
Numa?
yes, you got it.
It's apparently our hardest question.
So you actually would have got the most difficult, or I thought the most difficult question, but you got tripped up prior to that. Well,
Yeah.
5 points is 5 points. I
Good
hope
run.
you have enjoyed
very good run.
running the gauntlet.
I feel like I
think
deserve a special category there where people who couldn't win but like got the toughest
Last question, right?
Okay, I tell you what.
You got the Powerball number.
We'll do the leaderboard. We'll put you on top. So you know, Jay Boot Hype. And we'll put a little asterisk after it, and then the asterisk will mean answered question 10, and that means we'll put you at the top of the board. Yaz and I will be joint second, and you can be number one just based on that. I think that seems fair.
I think it's fair. Yeah. We'll give you that one. We'll give you that one.
Just messing. Thanks so much for the questions, guys. It was really fun.
I really appreciate you taking part in the gauntlet.
I was actually really impressed.
Sorry, go on. Yes.
Sorry, I was just saying I was really impressed with how quickly he knew some of those answers. That was pretty awesome.
Yeah, like I was just like, boom, done. I was like, okay, fine, I'll move on.
Sorry.
So that concludes the gauntlet, which, as always, concludes the podcast. Yaz, would you like to take us out? Bring us on home with all of our wonderful social media.
Sure. For all you guys watching the video, thank you so much. Make sure you subscribe to the Boot FC Podcast YouTube channel, and I'll leave some links in the description below with all our Instagram, Facebook, our social media handles, including Jay's as well. Thanks so much for joining us, Jay, as James said. And if you guys are listening to us on any of the other platforms, hopefully we're on by the time you're listening to this, please consider following, subscribing, whatever the platform allows you to do to support us. We really appreciate it, and we've had a blast having Jay on the show, the first guest of many, and we plan on bringing a lot more from the boot community, talking about the various different topics and specialities we've got in the community. So we've really enjoyed episode 2. Hope you guys did as well. Thanks so much for listening. Have a great day.
Thanks for having me, guys.
No worries, Jay. It's been a pleasure.